Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lie.
Welcome to Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Join Carl alongside frequent co-hosts Lisa Odie and Hollis Lewis as they explore dynamic conversations with guests from all walks of life. Let's Talk is proudly brought to you by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. Visit frankwalkerlaw.com. The conversation starts now. This is Let's Talk.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee, and I've got my co-host, both of them, Hollis Lewis and Lisa Odie.
What's up?
What's up?
And just so you know, you may want to sit down for a second and relax, because I'm going to open the show.
Grab some popcorn.
Already that we've already argued about this prior to even coming on air. I think everybody has seen the whole situation with Chris Boyd and the coach pushing the coach.
We got to break it down. Set it up for him.
So basically, the way the whole setup sets up to me this way. He gets a penalty on the field.
You got some of the teams. They might not know teams.
Texans and KC.
Yes.
Okay. And it's a kickoff.
Yeah.
And so Boyd's on the kickoff team. He's running down, blah, 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 all that.
And he makes a tackle.
He makes a tackle. Good play.
He makes a great play because they're returning 70 yards. He causes a fumble. And he thinks that the Texans have recovered the fumble. And therefore, heads run off field, takes his helmet off. You can take it from there.
Okay. One, to celebrate a fumble or any good play, everybody in the world knows that you cannot take your helmet off before you get off the field.
Well, let's start prior to that. Prior to that.
Lisa, can you help me?
No.
I don't know where he wants me to go.
The play wasn't complete because he doesn't know, because he knocks the ball out. He went so quick to the sideline. He doesn't even know if the Texans, in fact, recovered the fumble. So he shouldn't have been heading off in the first place. So I'm with you on that.
Okay.
So you shouldn't be heading off that way in the first place.
Okay.
All right.
So with that being said, let's justify the helmet off.
Right.
There is no justification.
That's the
You
problem.
can't justify it. I mean, he didn't take the helmet off. He tossed it off. He punted
Still
it.
can't do it.
There's no play that you can make. There's no mistake that you can make that justifies you taking your helmet off. And at the point in time you're taking your helmet off, he's not like going back to get it. He's still moving.
No, he flung it. He took it off and threw it.
And like it ain't even mine.
Excitement. Yeah. like it is not even his.
And so he's just heading to the sideline.
Yeah.
Now, let's all put ourselves in the situation of the coach. You know everything about what you just saw outside of the good play is dead wrong. And there's flags coming. So now you got a 15-yard penalty. We see that.
In addition to the 70-yard kickoff return and KC, Kansas City recovered the fumble.
Yes.
Right.
So you just literally just
made
destroyed everything
that you just did.
Right.
Okay. So now, for me, and I'm taking this as a player's perspective. Everything about that, in my mind, as the player, I have to hear any and every criticism that any one of the coaches come up to me, whether it's a special teams coach, head coach, defensive coach, offensive coach, even one of the teammates. If you come up to me and say, "What are you doing?" There's no place for me to say anything back to you. Man, I'm sorry. I messed up.
Much less what he did.
But to the point where he's pushing the coach. I don't care what the coach may say. You've been in sports. You've been in a position where somebody has authority over you. Everybody has. and you've heard something that you absolutely did not like.
I think you're looking too deep at this.
Oh my gosh, no, I'm not.
Hart, let's take it bit by bit. If you, number one, he was in his excitement of causing the fumble. So he's a special team, he's a third team, 14 cornerback. He makes a big play on special teams in a playoff game. He's so manic at this point that he almost loses his mind temporarily and throws his helmet off. He know he ain't supposed to do that, but he's so excited that he threw his helmet off. And to me, when I look at the video, it's almost, I don't know if he even heard what the coach is saying. I don't even know if he was even like processing that the coach is telling him they're wrong or criticizing him at the point. I think it was just an excitement. You push the coach like, I made a play. Yeah, let's go. Because prior to the coach even saying anything into it, he didn't even finish the play. He runs off, throws his helmet. Now he was in a pure, like, I don't want to say manic because I don't want to lessen that term, but he was clearly not lucid at that moment.
All right,
clearly.
I just want everybody.
So what I'm saying,
okay,
he was wrong for pushing, but I don't think he had any malicious intent with it.
Okay. I've known Lisa for a long time. We've done a lot of shows together, but I don't know if I've ever seen her like look at somebody as they're talking.
It don't make sense what I'm saying.
I don't know. I need Lisa. Let's let Lisa have the floor.
Well, okay, guys. Well, I feel like maybe it wasn't malicious, but he definitely was overcome with emotion. He was very happy about the play on the field, but that's not the way to get off the special teams, is by taking your helmet off and running onto the sideline and pushing your coach, because I'm sure what the coach said was, you can't take your helmet off.
You can't take it, for sure.
So, and he maybe he could have softened it. I don't know. We don't know exactly what the coach said, correct? We don't know exactly what the verbal exchange was. But he could have maybe softened it a little bit with, hey, great play, but maybe that is what happened. I don't know. But it definitely does not give him the right to push the coach. And from what I'm seeing, maybe he was in a excited, emotional state, but the push was hard.
Yeah,
the push was hard.
For sure.
And it wasn't to celebrate.
I don't think it was.
It wasn't like, no.
I think he was jacked.
No way.
Because I don't think he did. He was so, like you said, he was so overcome with emotion. He didn't even realize that they didn't recover.
Okay, he makes this statement.
Yeah.
He makes this statement. Mm-hmm. That is not my character. Okay, so if he was, to me, that clearly says to me he was upset and he pushed him.
No,
that doesn't speak.
I was emotional. I was too emotional, and I was out of my
emotion.
Out of
can
myself.
be good and bad.
For sure.
Okay,
I'm saying the bad part of it.
He wasn't pushing him like, gosh, I just made this great play. He's knowing at this point. He knows his helmet's still on the field. The flags are on the field.
I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows. I don't think he realizes it. I don't think he realized he probably.
The coach is saying something to him.
I don't think he realized he probably even threw his helmet until everything calmed down.
That might be why he's third or fourth string, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Because
I don't know.
Even after the fact, when he was talking, after they calmed down, because they actually talked after. Like after everything calmed down, the coach and him had an exchange. It wasn't a bad exchange. The coach was basically, if you read the lips, was like, calm down, like relax. And he was like, and boy, it was, you could see it in his eyes, like, oh yeah, I was out of my mind. I think he blacked out. I think he got totally overcome with emotion, and it was just up. And he didn't really realize. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying he should have pushed him. I'm not saying whatever like that. I'm not saying he's not right. But I don't think it was malicious intent. That's what I'm saying.
Please help me, Lisa. Please help me.
I don't think it was intent.
I kind of see both of what sides of both what you're both saying is I do feel like he was overcome with emotion, and if he would have been not so upset or so excited or all those emotions he was feeling, he probably wouldn't have pushed the coach the way he did. but I don't feel like it was celebratory. I do feel like he was upset with the coach, with the criticism that he was given by the coach. He already knew he messed up, I'm sure, in his mind. He knew that he shouldn't have taken his helmet off. Probably realized there was a penalty flag on the field that he was responsible for. And he comes on the sideline and the coach just kind of rubs salt in the wound. And then there you go. That was the reaction.
I don't even know if you have time to process all that. That thing happened so fast.
Okay. Yeah. That's the dude or the person who you say something to and they're ready to swing on you, and you're like, dude, why are you swinging?
Right.
Because that's that emotion.
Right.
That's how I react.
Okay, but in your emotional state, you're clearly not thinking. You're clearly not processing.
Don't do that.
So if sports is supposed to be a life lesson, okay, and let's just assume
way too deep.
Maybe. So maybe let's just say. I'm assuming he played high school ball. So we'll start at high school.
Yeah.
So at high school and through college, at some point in time, I'd like to think that he'd have learned the lesson of the things that you can't do.
It's not about that,
and then if you get that mad playing, you're not playing.
All right.
It's not about him getting mad. He was just emotional. The whole play was emotional.
Define emotion.
Emotional is that when you are at an extreme of emotion. So whether that's
so you're saying
whether that's mad. What I'm saying is that
so you're saying he was celebrating.
No. From if you're saying that he got mad and pushed the coach, what I'm saying, if you look at the play from the very beginning of the play, as soon as he made the big play, he got so high. That's emotional. And then if you're saying that he got mad at the coach, then he got so mad, that's emotional. So I'm saying that whole play from start to finish, he was so emotionally charged that, again, I think he was just moving. And like I said, I'm not arguing whether right or wrong. Of course he was wrong. I'm just saying, as far as his intention, I don't think it was a malice or a malicious intent.
Okay.
And I think the lesson is just don't be so so emotional.
So okay.
I said darn.
I know you
So my thing is what he should be thinking is how I should be controlling my emotions.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So if whatever the emotion was, let's just say it was good or bad, it doesn't make any difference. The moment that he threw his helmet, because he was celebrating, let's say that he was celebrating at that point, okay? That's too much.
It is. The whole thing is too much.
Okay, so that's too much. So that right there says, okay, you can't handle making plays.
The moment he knocked the ball out and didn't try to jump on the ball, that's too much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The moment he knocked the ball
out,
then
what he needed to do because of his emotions.
Then to me, then you're not necessarily prepared yet for professional sports.
Oh, come
because
on, Coach.
Absolutely.
It's a bad play.
Because
it's a bad moment.
It was a great play.
We
he made
never
a
heard
great
this
play.
guy's name prior to this.
And
you going way too deep.
And the fact that we could hear it again playing is an issue to me.
I'm just
going to say.
Okay.
I'm
so
going
you're going to take his career.
I'm going to say
cut him for one.
I'm going to say from 83, from when I came into the league in 83. Let's just say 83 to 89. Okay, I'm going to make the case. You put your hands on a coach. I don't care how you do it. You are not on that team.
Ooh.
You are not on that team.
Yeah, that's extreme. It's extreme.
I don't know nothing. I know what I played in. That's all I know.
Okay, so let's look beyond the reasons it happened. Let's look at what the consequences were. Were there consequences for him after the game? I know that they lost the game. That might be consequence enough. I don't know. But I mean, were there any kind of penalties or suspensions?
No, not
because there was no malicious intent. That's why. Because I don't believe there was malicious intent.
I think there should be some type of consequence.
I don't think anybody's aware of what, because this is, and I'm sure it's happened at some point.
Sure.
But I don't know of it ever happening, and most people don't know that it happened. Not saying it didn't.
Yeah.
No way.
But the reaction.
You mean of a player pushing a coach in the NFL?
Yes.
Didn't that happen last year with Travis Kelce?
Yeah, it did.
And I'm sorry.
Yes, it did. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, and it happened. And coaches and players have got each other's face and all that. So it happens. But that happened in your era. It happened in every era.
Not quite as extreme, but it happened.
Not in my era.
We just ain't have a camera on everything in your era. So you may not.
I don't know. Bruh, I'm going to tell you, I don't know a single player that would be on a Bud Grant team. Now, and there's some dudes who have short tempers, and I'm sure that they've had conversations with Bud, some hard conversations with Bud. But they ain't going to put their hands on them and thinking that you're going to be playing in the purple and gold.
I don't know.
I'm telling you,
it's happened before.
Bud can cut you for less than that. Bud would cut you for less than that.
I don't think you cut him. It's like I said, he was just emotional.
Okay, let me ask this question. Let's just say one of the players at West Virginia State when I was coaching would put their hands on me. Do they have money?
Yeah, you have
do,
to.
Do they have money? Are they playing on my
No, not with you. But you have to measure. But that's the thing, though. You have to measure. Intention is vital. It's like even in the court system, just because you do something, that don't mean the penalty is going to be
coming
stiff.
out in Hollis.
Because you have to measure intent, and you have to calculate that in. And in this situation, this was just a guy who was emotionally out of control. And he made a dumb decision because he was emotionally out of control. He didn't have an intention to hurt this coach or do anything like bad per se.
He went from as high as he could be celebrating a play that he made to what I think to a place that makes no sense to me of pushing your coach in that kind of a situation. Am I fair to have those two?
Well, I agree with what you're saying as far as being physical with a coach. That's never acceptable. But I do think it's too extreme to throw him completely off the team because of the behavior. I do think there should be some type of consequence.
And it will be.
I think that's the compromise right there for me.
How many days has it been?
It shouldn't have happened.
How many days has it been?
Yeah, but they're out the playoffs. They probably handled it internally. Like I said, if you watch the exchange on the sideline between him and the coach, they were fine after that. Like, because I think the coach. Now, what we should be getting emotional about is Patrick Mahomes and the referees. That's what I want to get emotional about because it don't seem like
we're going to be stopped. This is a problem. This is an issue because we're not going to even have the same views again on this.
Well,
go ahead, Lisa.
Well,
bring us on with this because this is ridiculous.
Well, it is, and even the commentators during the game. I think it was Troy Aikman.
I love Troy Aikman. He gonna tell us straight up.
He was like, "This is out of control." Like he even called out a couple of the calls that were on the Texans. It was like roughing the passer. That they showed the replays. I wish we had video or that you could see, but we can't obviously do that on radio. But they were very, very tick-tacky types of calls.
Crazy.
That really changed the outcome of the game. Yeah. And this isn't new for Patrick Mahomes. It seems like I don't want to say he gets special treatment, but he gets special treatment. Yeah. That's what I'm going to put it out there. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to.
You said it.
I know. That's why I said it that way. But I mean, I feel like, and then there's the one referee that seems to have a little more leniency for him as far as his penalties go. And his name escapes my mind, but it'll come to me in a minute. But, everybody's kind of tired of the same rhetoric coming out of Chiefs games. And that is they protect Patrick Mahomes to the point that it's beyond the normal protection that quarterbacks are granted in the NFL in this day and age.
Yeah. And and I'm a quarterback, so, I want to be protected. But I think the point, like even Troy Aikman, and the referees actually did a good job on this call. They didn't call it. But what Patrick Mahomes will do is that when he takes off and he scrambles out the pocket and he runs down the field, he'll slow up once he gets to the sidelines trying to incite the defense to hit him. So it's like stuff like that. And then if you do like a one-to-one comparison to like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or other quarterbacks in the league, they're defensive players will make similar plays against them, and those quarterbacks don't get that call. And I think it just hurts the integrity of the game if it's clear to see that you have one player getting special treatment. It just I don't know. I don't like it at all.
And sometimes what comes with that is, people will say certain teams, not necessarily. This is kind of interesting that it's a player.
It's a player,
but. Yeah. A lot of times it's a team, that the officials, because they think this team should be good, whatever. I would hate to think, but not saying impossible, that there could be officials.
And I've got a list here if you'd like to hear it.
The officials that could step over the line, whatever that is. I'm not taking it to betting or having ways to make money on the game.
They just the league's interest maybe is Patrick Mahomes going to the Super Bowls and playing.
Well, no, not even. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to make the case that okay, I can see officials making calls and officials not making calls. I think there could be possibly a group of officials who would want to protect.
But why would they want to?
I don't know.
They would have to be working in the league's interests in order to do that. Because it's not their interest to make sure Patrick Mahomes
I don't think that there's a tie between the league and the officials.
Oh, come on.
I think if it's anything, it would be officials, and whether it's money, betting, that type of thing. I don't see my fear of that would be who would risk that if you're in that position to get to the officials and say, hey, make this work for us. I think
the league, it's in their interest from their standpoint in order to have Patrick Mahomes be a superstar, because every league needs a superstar, and making sure that person goes as far as we can.
Is this the first year?
I think it's the Chiefs in general too, don't you? Because you also got all the glamour and the glitz
100%.
with Taylor Swift. You got
Travis
the Swifties
Kelce.
and Travis Kelce.
Yeah, because Caitlin Clark was at the game the other day,
yes.
the last game when they played the Texans. So it's like it's in the league. They like that superstar, because now you're bringing in people who don't watch football. They don't know nothing about football, but they know Caitlin Clark and they might know Taylor Swift. So it's like it's sort of like a pop culture crossover. So that's what I'm saying. And it's like when you take all that into account, and then what we're clearly seeing on the field as far as what's being called and what's not being called, it's not a good look for you, maybe a pure, football fan.
Well, obviously, Clay Martin is his name, and he is definitely.
We calling out refs. Yeah,
I don't care. This is public record, guys.
There you go.
I'm not calling anything out that
the
CBS
NFL gonna make a call, shut us down.
Here's the thing: Mahomes has a 7-0 record when Clay Martin referees his games.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so what they did, I guess the NFL.
But they've only lost 2 games.
Right,
period.
Right.
So you could make the case.
There's a whole list of these guys that under those guys, I'm not going to go through all the names, but he's a combined 25-0 with Clay Martin and these other 6 or 7 guys.
So that's over how many seasons?
I would say since he started, I guess he started.
Wow.
That's it. So Mahomes' starting record by referee, and the one that likes him the best is Clay Martin.
And Clay Martin, is Clay Martin like the head referee, or who?
I wouldn't know that part.
Judge,
But listen to this. So the NFL, I guess they've kind of heated all this chatter about the referees and the Chiefs, and so they have assigned. Cleet Blakeman, with whom Mahomes has his second worst win percentage.
Good.
So we're going to see. He's been assigned to the AFC Championship game. So
and
we'll
again,
see if that makes a difference.
This is where we're at in sports. We got to know referees' names. So we got to go know referees' records. So just like we know players, just like we know everything. Okay, we need to analyze the ref in this one. So we need to know their records. We need to know the names.
It's interesting to me that we're really going there.
We there
because the outcome of games are changing because of some of the calls of the referees.
100%.
Let me ask this question. Is part of that, too, because of – does this bring into the fact of gambling? Because now, again
how I feel about that.
The fact that, you can't control people on the outside betting and all that kind of stuff. But, allowing players to have that opportunity to – they want to bet on a game, whatever. I think
the players are not supposed to.
They're not supposed to.
Yeah, they're not supposed to.
But now, with all of this, if this is the reality of it, and I'm playing, and I got you as the official, and I know where you are. I know you with us.
See, and that's
why am I
had
not
my buddy John get on his phone and place a bet in his name for me.
To me, that's where it gets dicey.
Exactly.
Because not only sports betting, like the apps are directly in bed with the NFL.
I agree.
With the team.
ESPN.
Like ESPN has its own book.
It has a show.
So it's literally sport. So I don't know how you get around it. I don't know. And again, I'm not accusing anybody of anything.
No.
But I don't know how you get around players not betting.
We're just saying it's possible.
Coaches, GMs, league officials, referees. I don't know how you get around that. And if you have those individuals who are betting, and I'm sure there's probably some sort of watchdog who watches maybe stuff like this, but like you said, I can get my buddy and my wife, whatever, to place these bets for me. But if you have these individuals who are so closely tied with these organizations, it's bound to get dirty. We seen Shohei Ohtani, the baseball player, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, and a couple other guys who've got actually suspended and kicked out of leagues,
right,
recently.
And that's the reality of when you start talking about, okay, we'd sit in a meeting beginning of the year, no betting, no all that kind of stuff. Guys weren't really even overly impactful. And it wasn't like it is today.
Yeah, for sure.
Because now you're watching an NFL game. You're telling me I can't bet, right? I can't bet on the team. I can't do any of that. But the primary commercials,
all of them, darn near,
BetMGM, DraftKings,
all about betting.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm thinking, if you put yourself in this situation, I'm looking. I'm like, shame on you.
Yeah,
but it's just.
and I'm going to go a step further with this referee thing. Do you think now that it's to the point where NFL teams, when they're preparing for these a game or a playoff game, even that they are researching who the refs are going to be?
Yeah. I mean,
if we've got this information, they
100%.
Definitely have to have it too.
I don't. And again, all I can do is think about myself.
Do that.
Exactly.
But with the statistics and the way they do things now, they are 100% analyzing the referees.
Well, and I don't know if that, but what I will say is, guys know who calls this and who calls that. Like you'll remember the official who called 2 pass interference, 3 pass interferences on you, right? You know he's that guy. You also know who didn't do, and you think you know that I pulled jersey. I know he saw it, but he let it go.
Yeah.
You start to know who these guys are, and to you all's point now, if you know that, if you know who's calling this, who's not calling that, I think that's dangerous to the game.
Well, I mean,
I don't know how we get around it.
This speaks volumes. After the game, you had one of the players, of course, defensive end Will Anderson Jr. said, "We knew it was going."
Texan.
Yes, he was the one that got called, right, for the roughing the passer. We knew it was going to be us versus the refs going into the game. He said that. And then you have Coach Ryan said, we knew going into this game that it was us versus everybody, and I mean everybody.
Yeah, he didn't say.
So
he
right
didn't
there. So, they probably got their paperwork and went, man, not him.
Because I think with advanced analytics, they break down everything anyway. They're definitely breaking down the referees. And I think it's just, to me, because when you say, well, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't bet or do that, but it's when it's all in your face.
Yes,
exactly.
I
you know what I mean? And the thing is, not only is it all in your face, that you got millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars, or some case thousands of dollars, just kind of just throw away and play with.
Yes.
Like, that's not, you ain't got to pay your, struggle to pay your light bill. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got money to sort of play with. So how do you balance that as a player? I'm young. I'm kind of living fast, and now I got all this in my face, and I know the players, I know the refs, I know this stuff. So
and to the valid point, it's like it's not like they're not going to Vegas, they're not going to these different places.
They're not going to some shady bookie, right?
No, they don't have to.
They don't have to.
Not like it used to be. It's not casino anymore.
I'd like to think that we haven't, that we wouldn't have gotten to this place to where players should have the opportunity to bet on. If you bet on yourself,
do you think they should be able to do that?
To this point, why? I mean, who's making it? I mean,
But that's crazy,
but
man. That
I'm not going to give up.
Slippery slope.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
But you told me years ago you can't do nothing, and now you're benefiting.
Yep.
Commercial wise, dollar wise,
whole new revenue stream.
That's a whole new revenue stream that you are benefiting from that everybody else can bet. Why can't I bet that we can beat the 49ers?
Well,
but you can only bet the positive?
When you that's what I was going to say. The problem happens when you bet for your team to lose a game. That's when you have a problem.
Or when you bet in points.
Right.
But
here's shave points.
Points could be the issue. Winning and losing, I'm thinking in my mind, one, I can't give you, I can't bet on you as a quarterback. I can't bet on a receiver or such and such like that because that's on me. If you're giving up points, if you're the dude who wants to give up the point to make sure you win your bet, that's an issue.
But I think,
how do you control that?
I don't know if you can control that.
Some people are
I really don't know if you can.
But some people are going to be degenerate. So they're not going to just bet the 1,000 or the hundreds or a couple $100. They're going to bet the 10s, the 15s. They're going to get up to the millions of dollars on this stuff. And when you find yourself in a hole, it's a way to get out of that hole.
Right. There
you know
you
what I mean? And then what you make prop bets. Like what if you're gonna bet on your buddy, he's gonna have 100, he's gonna have this, or he's gonna do this. It's just too many variables.
And okay, let me ask this question. So let's say I'm in a bye week or I'm out of the playoffs.
Okay.
And I got these games coming up this weekend. Mm-hmm. Is it okay for me to bet on them games?
I wonder if that's let's look that up at the break. 'Cause I'm not actually sure about that. I don't know if you can. I thought it was just a prohibited, like you couldn't bet at all. That's what I thought.
I think it is. But
that's actually a good question.
But to me, I'm thinking if I'm done, I got nothing. I got nothing in it. Then can I actually place the bet on KC? And the Vikings, we out. So
let's look that up ahead.
Yeah, we need.
All right, we got to take a break anyway. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Let's face it, bad things happen to good people. Seriously injured in a car accident, trucking accident, or even wrongfully arrested. Life happens, and when it happens to you, you will need sound legal advice and aggressive representation. That's when you call attorney Frank Walker at 304-413-0179. That's 304-413-0179. Lock it in your phone, text it to a friend. 304-413-0179. Or visit online at attorneyfrankwalker.com.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Visit frankwalkerlaw.com. Share your thoughts, ask questions, or suggest topics on our Facebook page. Just search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. And don't forget to like the page to join the conversation. Catch past episodes anytime at WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk. And tune in Thursday nights at 7 or Sunday evenings at 8 for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Now, back to the conversation.
All right, well, we're 0 for 2, considering we've had 2 topics, and we have yet to agree. I don't think we got to an agreement on the betting.
But I think we are in agreement, but
just different
and just to clean it up,
of it.
Just to clean NFL players, and that's what we're talking about specifically, they are prohibited from betting on NFL games, whether they're playing or not.
Right.
But your point is they're saying that maybe they should be allowed if they're not participating in that game.
You let gambling happen.
You let it happen.
You let it happen.
I think that would be hard to control.
I think
right
absolutely.
That.
I think that's true
I
too.
think that it's smart just to say, a blanket statement. No.
But why would you get in? And I hate to use this term, get in bed with gambling. You're promoting gambling in for the NFL. To me, and then you're going to tell me I can't.
Maybe they just put that statement out and kind of turn a blind eye to it. They probably know.
Nah, guys have got suspended. Yeah, guys have got suspended.
Like what he's saying, not on your own team or your player, your own, like after you're out of a playoff.
Yeah, the guys have done that. That's what guys have done.
Okay.
They got suspended.
So
just for the kind of clean up the point. So
they're upholding it.
Yeah, they're upholding it. And just to clean it up, like NFL players, and that's what we're talking about specifically, they are allowed to bet on other sports. So
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Interesting.
Well, Where are you taking us to now, Lisa? I think you're ready to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I thought the game Monday night, if you guys caught it, I thought that was a great game. Ohio State and the Fighting Irish. Great comeback, or actually the Fighting Irish trying to make a great comeback.
Yeah.
Ended up losing 34-23 to the Buckeyes. Interestingly, it was the Buckeyes' first national title in a decade. So that was pretty cool. I think the question I wanted to explore more than just the championship game, and you guys can give me your opinions at what you think about it, but did you think that expanding the college football playoff from 4 to 12 was a good move overall?
I 100% do.
Yeah. I do too.
Yeah,
I think
we saw who it is. We saw. Yeah, okay, this is the champion. Like, we saw you go through the fire.
Yes.
And what I like about the play, like, the one thing, I'll let you go, Carl, but the one thing I don't like about it is that it sort of takes away from the regular season that was college football.
Right.
Because back in the day, you had to be perfect. You had to, maybe you only could afford one loss to a very good team.
Right.
You had to beat the other teams. You had to dog the teams that you beat. So it kind of took a little luster out of the regular season, but it's moved that to the playoffs. And as they do it more and more, they get it right as far as the seeding is concerned. So I thought it was good.
I enjoy the idea of, defining the best teams.
Yeah.
Right.
Matching them up. And unfortunately, you don't get to have a bad day, because you have a bad day and lose to a team that everybody thought you should beat. You go home,
right?
And so I like that I like everything about it, and I think to me, I think it brings viewership. Because, if nothing else, but for that playoff situation.
Definitely. Yeah,
sure.
That was something that, we've talked about in the past on the show about the bowl season and how, some of these games are irrelevant and people don't watch them. And actually, with the way that they set the bowl games up in conjunction with the 12-game playoff system, the viewership of the bowl season was up 14%.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's helped that. It's definitely helped that. But I'm like you. I think the only thing they really need to kind of clean up with it is probably maybe that first round bye for the conference champs.
Yeah.
Maybe they could do something about that. Maybe eliminate that.
Yeah. I would definitely say, Lena, because the conference don't meet as much as what they used to. You know what I mean? And I, not to say I would get rid of the conference championships, but I mean, as it is a lot of games, and you're going to, almost Ohio State played 17 games this season.
It was a lot. You're probably right.
So I think they can maybe maybe take off a regular season game, and they got to fix that, because I don't think the conference championship. I think if you win your conference, you should have an automatic, bid.
Right.
But I think that
but maybe not the bye.
But not the bye.
Yeah.
And also, what I would like to see, I mean, if it ever gets expanded, I want to see some of the smaller schools get it. I want to see maybe a spot reserved for the non-Power 5. I like to see that, because you never know if a James Madison or Marshall or somebody got in. I would love to see that.
I think to that very, very valid point, I think there should be, you either have to do that or create something else.
Yeah,
because you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right.
You got to either make a spot for those smaller teams.
Yeah.
And again, they may not, there's a great chance that they may not win that first game, but they deserve to have an opportunity.
Yeah.
Or give them the same exact thing.
The same setup.
The same setup in their own, I don't care, league or level. If you're D1, D2, you go there. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't care how you build it.
Right.
But you build an area for these smaller teams so that they can win a championship.
So because I would take, I would do just like what basketball does at the college level, and just have you have your championship and you have your NIT. But what how I would do it, again, I would have non-Power 5, Power 5, and if that non-Power 5 wins that wins the setup, wins their championship, then they can bounce up to Power 5. So I would kind of do it like that, where you create the incentive, not only monetarily, because I think what we're talking about as well is that if you set up a playoff system with the non-Power 5, it gives those schools an opportunity to actually get some more revenue. So hopefully they can keep some of their players with, the transfer portal, NIL and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're a good player,
you're gone.
Yeah, you got to go. Because
right.
you want to go up because you want what you think is going to be visible. You want to be visible to get in the draft and all those kind of things. You want to play.
It ain't even in the draft no more. It's just being visible to go to WVU instead of a smaller school. Go to Alabama or go somewhere else. So it's all sorts of steps that's happening, right?
And to justify that, there are plenty players that are playing on teams that no one would say, oh, there's no way they could ever play Alabama. But there could be a player on that team that could play for Alabama.
Sure.
100%. We're seeing it.
And you see this all the time, and it's like, wow, how did this happen? But if you give them that opportunity to shine in a playoff games and all that kind of stuff, I think that shows up, and I think that helps these players get recognition and the school.
And I think, and this is something I was looking at this weekend, because I know we've talked about NIL. Like I said, I don't think either one of us have a problem with NIL, the idea of it, but I think how it's being executed is flawed. But one of the things that's happening in college football, to your point, when we talk about those players at maybe a smaller school, a smaller Power 5 or a smaller non-Power 5, what's happening is that we're letting third-party billionaire and millionaires and corporations come in, and now they are essentially controlling college football. Right?
And building champions.
And building champions. Because now you can just suck players based monetarily from this school, that school, that school, and because they have the resources to do it. So again, I mean, if anybody from the NCAA is listening, you're failing and you're killing it, because again, what we got to remember, and I've said this before, is that players were not asking for the billions and trillions of dollars. They were asking for a cut of what the schools and the NCAA is getting, and the NCAA is still not doing that, and they're ruining the game, because what's going to end up happening is that and you said it before, Lisa, you broken it down where you're saying the schools that are paying the most are getting the furthest in this, and that's what's going to continue to happen. So again, to our point, it would be great to see a non-Power 5 school come up and be able to maybe win a couple playoff games. That would be awesome. But that's not the case, particularly with college football, because of how it's being set up with the NIL money. Well,
the one thing that we did see this year, which was kind of refreshing, at least it was from my perspective, was to see the SEC kind of slighted in the choosing by the committee. I think the committee got it right, 100%. Obviously. There were some teams upset. Alabama obviously was not happy when they were left out of the 12-team setup. So was South Carolina and Mississippi. But then if you look at what happened after that, after they were slighted and left out of the 12-team playoff, they went to their prospective bowls and lost their bowl game as well. Now, you could look at that two ways. You could look at, okay, they really didn't belong, or were they just so morally down that they didn't make it?
Players
didn't play. Right. So it could be either one. But still, it kind of shows us a chink in the armor of the SEC, so to speak.
Well, and I think, too...
They have all the money.
Yeah.
And I think, too, that when you go, let's just say you go to Alabama, you just automatically assume, or there was a time where you could automatically assume, we're going to be in bowl games, we're going
big bowl games,
we're going to be at the top bowl games, championships. We're getting to a point, or we should get to a point where everybody ain't sure.
Yeah, that's what I would love to see.
Everybody ain't sure.
But I don't think we're getting there. I think as the money gets more concentrated, particularly if we're letting third parties come in. I think if we had a situation where the NCAA was actually doing their job and they're controlling this and they're setting a standard and the money's being spread out just a touch more evenly, I think we would get to that place where it's more parity.
Well,
right?
I agree. That needs to happen.
Can I try to say it
yesterday?
I'm going to try to say something. I don't know if I'm going to get this right as the way it comes out. In my head, though, it's making sense to me. Yeah. Okay. At some point, I think when you start talking about the financial piece, when is that going to become part of the school's responsibility? Okay.
But I think it already is. But the fact of the matter is, it's not necessarily because the money has to filter through the school, but it's the point of where the money's coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think there has to be some kind of this league should be capped at X amount of income, if you want to call it income.
For sure.
And this group can get this much. But at this rate, you got teams getting billions, and then you got another team that's getting a couple drops, dimes.
But you can't say that when the money is coming through the third parties. When the money's coming outside of the construct of the school, if I'm a donor and I say I want to donate $1 million to West Virginia State and I earmark it for NIL and I want to pay, then you can't necessarily control that.
I understand.
What has to happen is that the NCAA has to step up and share some of the money.
They have to do something about
That's
it.
what they don't want to do, which is why they don't want to share their money. They'll take all the outside money.
Right.
But see, that's what I think is creating the problem is that teams with money win.
100%.
And
that's obvious. Look at the championship game.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
we don't even know how much money Notre Dame had, right?
Oh, no, because
they don't talk about
it. And I bet Notre Dame got a ton.
They are probably the highest paid NIL in college football.
And if you wasn't the top, and maybe even the top by a lot, you would say it. I mean, you can put it out there.
They were, I bet moving forward, a school like Notre Dame is really going to be, because of the history of Notre Dame, the people who went there,
right.
People who went to Notre Dame love.
And they're not affiliated with a conference. They're not affiliated. They're independent. They can do whatever they want, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, they should be in the championship game.
So is that
100%?
Yeah. So is that kind of, again, the fact that, they're independent, they're not tied down to a conference to where they play teams, the same teams every year, and teams get to scout them, get an understanding of what they do and all that kind of stuff. Because you know how film is, Hollis, when you're scouting. You get, 2-3 games, film.
With Huddle now, you can
you can get them all.
Yeah.
But still, I'm going to make the case that there needs to be like a set amount of money at the top that you can make. And I think that
a cap.
Yeah.
I mean, period.
Yeah.
But you can't do
and you
that
can't
if the
make
money's
money
coming through the
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
But
there's got to be a way to
I
control
see, that's
it
what I'm
better.
thinking that you
control
have
it
to
better.
have. I think that's what Hollis, I think that's what you have to have. You have to be able to control
They need to change the rules.
Yes. You have to be able to control the money because, again, to X team who's got a bunch of billionaires throwing money into them, now they're bringing all these players in from other teams. Now what you got, you got a dominating team that is going to win the championship. Who's watching that?
Yeah, nobody.
And let me throw this out there because I may be wrong, but is Notre Dame who's the other independents in college football besides Notre Dame? Are they the only special?
I know like Army, Navy. That's different.
But that's different.
I think Notre Dame's like the big independent. I don't know if there's anybody.
I don't know anybody that at that level.
Yeah, I don't like Texas
is independent.
Yeah, because
everybody else is affiliated with a conference.
Exactly. So why?
Do you know why?
Exactly. Yeah. You go ahead.
No, I was going to say why. Why would they not settle in?
I think originally they were like the first school or one of the first schools with like the TV deal. So they had like the NBC deal because when you're growing up, remember we could watch Notre Dame was on TV every single week across the whole entire nation. They don't have blackouts, so they're not regionalized. So I think originally, because I want to say they had some conversations with the Big Ten at first and then ACC, but because I know basketball and the other sports they're ACC,
right?
But again, they didn't want to share that revenue. I think originally, like back in the day, they didn't want to share that revenue with the conference because they would have had to share the revenue. So I think that's it. And it gives them flexibility. And they're like I said, they're a national, whether we like it or not, they're a national staple.
They are for sure. And at some point, I don't even know if this is relevant anymore, but weren't they tied into conferences bowl game systems? Like they were guaranteed if they wanted to go to
like
this
the Rose Bowl, like the big, like it's like the, so they, like the Big Ten, like I said, the Big Ten, the Pac-12. So they always had like those affiliations, but it wasn't like direct.
Which to me, I didn't like that because I feel like they took conference spots for the people that were in the actual, league.
To the bowl games, do you support the bowl games or
100%? But I just think it's got to be like what Lisa said. It's got to be tied into
the
a
championships.
Playoff. You know what I'm saying? Like
you're not appointing somebody for this bowl game, that bowl game.
It's like this is the first round.
That's what they should
Taco
do with
Bell
the other bowl games. Is for the non-power five. Take those bowl games and make that a championship playoff.
So you have 2 playoff system at
makes
a
it all
level.
relevant.
So you got 12 teams at the big top, and then you can have like 24 teams. You know what I'm saying, for the rest of everybody. Yeah. And you know what I mean. It's specifically maybe for the non-power fives, but if you had some power fives that want to participate, I don't know how you would specifically do it, but I just say tie those remaining bowl games because again, we watched the bowl games that were affiliated with the playoffs. I didn't watch a single bowl. It was just because half the players didn't play, and it's just like I said. And even to that point, when we talk about controlling the money, not only should it be controlled maybe far as a cap and different things of that nature, but it's also controlled to like, hey, if you sign this contract, you take this money, you play in the bowl game.
Amen.
You finish your season. Like I said, so
coaches and players.
To that last point of players not playing in the bowl game for safety reasons.
Well, I don't think it's purely for that.
Well, may not be, but a lot of times that's what it's.
It's timing because if you're transferring, you got to go quick.
Well, let's just say the guys. Let's talk about this. The top players, the senior guys.
Oh yeah,
who are not going to play in a bowl game. Not okay. I understand. I truly understand that you want to be safe and you want to get that opportunity to play at the next level. But who are you to then in turn put an entire school, a team, a school, its fan base, you're going to walk out on them for what?
But it's bigger than that now.
Because they may see it bigger than that.
Yeah.
Because I get it. You could be a first round pick, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars out there waiting for you.
But it's hundreds of thousands probably already got now. So I don't have to go and do this. Particularly if I know that other team's best ain't playing, then why am I going to play?
And
my question is why are you not playing? Why are you like?
Because there's no reason to.
I can't walk.
There's no reason to play because you don't have to play that game in order to like increase your draft stock. They've already done that. You've already got 10, 12 games that have already played, or maybe even more if I started multiple years. So you don't have to play that bowl. You don't have to play that game because again, I don't even consider it have to. I'm not even looking at it as have to.
Yeah. We are in a bowl. We have this game. We have this game. We are going to travel and we are going to play in that game.
It's not a we anymore, though.
Yeah.
Not like it used to be.
The coaches ain't got to coach it, and you ain't got to play. The bowl games have rendered meaningless.
Okay.
Other than the championship bowl games, you're right.
Yeah.
And to the coaches being able to leave before a bowl game.
Well,
that makes zero sense to me.
Couldn't the schools address that, though, Hollis? I mean, couldn't they make that part of their contract and their NIL?
But the thing
Why
is,
haven't they?
Here's the thing. If I have to take another job, I have to start recruiting. So I got to hit end of November, beginning of December, finals are happening. Guys are going to take their finals, and then probably by November 10th, recruiting starts to happen. And now guys are jumping in the portal. So it's like I said, what I think should happen is that the season needs to be moved up. So football needs to start July 4th. July 4th, that should be the first game of the college football season.
It'll never happen.
And then the college championship needs to be done by that first week of finals. So that December 10th, the championship needs to be played then and it's over. So that way, don't nobody got to leave. You can start the transfer portal now. Everybody can finish their season.
But
It's got to start earlier.
I mean, that sounds like it's reasonable and sensible, but you think about the holidays and people they travel for bowl games over the Christmas break. You know, that there's money to be made with those fans going to the different games. It's logistically easier for the fans to get there and the players to do it over the holidays.
Over Thanksgiving break. So now that all the bowl games, but they would start in November,
though, right? I mean, you would start your bowl games the 1st of November, the bowl games start the 1st of December.
The championships,
okay,
and then all the remaining bowl games will be played inside that week.
It's tradition.
So that week, all the bowl games are being played. So I'm just saying, if we want to stop it, that's the only way you stop. Because you can't. I'm not signing because a coach. I'm not signing a contract where I have to coach through a bowl game. Because if I'm at Liberty or if I'm at East Carolina and I have a great season and I win, because now again. The big thing is the conference championship is the big thing now. Because remember, it wasn't back in the day. Yeah. Conference championships are big, where bowl games were big back in the day. So if I win a conference championship at East Carolina and a Tennessee job coming or the UNC or the North Carolina State job coming, I'm going.
Yeah.
And I got to start recruiting December 1st.
Yeah. I get it.
I just hate it for the smaller schools. That's.
I hate it for any of the school. I hate it even for because I believe that some of these coaches they had to leave. They couldn't pass up this
Coach
job.
Huff has to go. Yeah. He had to go.
Yes, and all the things that came with that horrible situation at the
Rich
time.
Rod had to go. We see it right here in our own state.
Why can't we fix that? Like, why can't
I got to fix it. Put me in, coach.
Well, for sure, if we don't fix it, we do not need to punish the schools.
That was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous when Marshall got fined. What was it, $100,000 for not participating in the bowl?
Ridiculous.
I mean, they don't have the money as it is, and then you take $100. That's a lot of money to Marshall.
That's a lot of money.
Make the coach pay it.
No, that's ridiculous.
I'm just saying.
Nobody should have to pay that.
You can't. To your point, nobody should have to pay it. But to your point, also, it shouldn't be possible.
That's the system.
But we can change the system.
But
we can change the system.
You can't allow transfers at the time that you allow them, and then he had 20, 30 players leave?
40.
Right.
40? And then you want me to go out there and play a game?
Right.
Like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Against the Army, of all things.
Yeah,
I mean, they had their whole team,
But my thing is, if you can't talk to a coach or cut a deal with a coach to come coach at your school until X date, that needs to be past all the bowl games.
But it logistically right now, the way it's set up, it does not work timing wise. You cannot do it.
I don't care. Here's the thing. I don't care if it works timing wise.
No, because
it's something that has to happen.
No. Because if I'm a school, if I'm Southern Miss, I'm not going to say, okay, yeah, you can wait till darn near December's over and then come. No, because I need you here top of December, first week of December, to get in that transfer portal and start recruiting.
Well, maybe
you got to do it.
Right. Maybe what should happen is these smaller bowls that really don't mean a lot, maybe we shouldn't commit to them. I mean, Marshall just doesn't commit. Although that was a pretty good bowl.
That's
for
a good bowl.
Yes.
That was a good bowl.
And
but
when
the
you start
smaller
talking
bowls,
and you start
you're going
talking
to get punished.
If you start talking about the fan bases, they're as happy as they can be. They're on cloud 9. And then all of a sudden, what?
Well, just make the conference championship, make it mean more than the bowl game. And really they do, like you said, they've elevated those.
But I think that situation with Marshall was
he shouldn't have got they shouldn't have fined him. I don't agree with that at all.
But be a senior. Be a senior in that situation.
It is what it is. You got a conference championship.
I mean, that's just terrible. You know. All right. Well,
before we go, I just want to talk about. I know. A lot of people are watching baseball now, but baseball just had their Hall of Fame inductees. So they, Ichiro, King Griffey Jr., Derek Jeter, they all went in.
Oh, that's a huge class.
Huge class. None of them went in unanimous. So all of them had people who said they shouldn't get in, and it just begs the question. This is just everything that's wrong with baseball. Everything that's wrong with baseball. The people who cover baseball. this is just a microcosm of that. How does Derek Jeter or King Griffey Jr. or Ichiro, who was just phenomenal a leadoff man, he did everything, great in the field, great at the plate, did all of them. King Griffey Jr., a legend. Derek Jeter, the captain. How do they not get in just with everybody unanimously? And then we still have guys like Barry Bonds who ain't getting in. It's just Mark McGwire who ain't getting in. It's just ridiculous. In baseball, this is why nobody watches baseball anymore.
Well, conversation I had today. All right, there's a buddy of mine, Henry Thomas, who has the most sacks, period, of a nose tackle, okay? He got nominated for the Hall of Fame. Okay?
NFL.
Right.
NFL Hall of Fame. And he's not in the Vikings Ring of Honor. So you know what I'm saying? Now,
right.
I've said out loud, my last award that I would hope to make would be the Ring of Honor for the Vikings.
Right.
You know? Now, people have said, you know, oh, he's one of the best corners ever. Well, the other guy who is, let's make the case, he is the corner. He went in last year. Okay? There's nothing for me to argue about him going in. But when you got a guy who is suspecting to go into or is people are voting on him to go into the NFL Hall of Fame, and he ain't on your wall?
Crazy.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
How does that work?
I just don't know the people who vote for these type of things. It just needs to be a computer or something.
That's
Right.
exactly.
Just give us the computer.
That's exactly what that was the conversation that I had was like
who's voting on it?
Who's vote? And what's interesting about it is nobody talks about it. Nobody says.
Nobody questions.
Nobody questions that.
Right.
Well, I think they question, but it's like they don't talk about
who do you go to?
That's what I'm saying. It's like you as the person who's on the line, whether you're going to get in or not, you don't want to talk about it. That's kind of sort of in bad taste. But at the same time, we got to start talking about it because the people who are voting this, whether it's baseball or stuff like the Ring of Honor, what you're talking about, it's just like what are you doing? Like, is there a committee that's doing this? What are you doing?
We just had one corner go for as long as they've had the Ring of Honor. The first corner went last year or 2 years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Should you have been the first corner?
No, I don't. Okay. I don't think. Bobby Bryant was the guy, and he was a great player. He was the first great corner that prior to my era that they had. So I'm good. Like I was good with that perfectly. Like I didn't feel like I deserved to go before him. But when you start naming players that are your best, when you say they're the best player.
Yeah.
When you start talking about or you start reading about them in potential Hall of Fame conversation,
right?
That's
getting voted. That should prompt you.
Prompt you to say, okay, we got to get this guy.
We got to get this guy in.
Yeah.
Carly throwing some gasoline on the ring of fire, aren't you, buddy?
and I'll make the case that I'm that dude who can destroy his own opportunity to get in because I'm the guy who's always saying I have no problem saying if you're telling me. And if my stats say, all I'm saying is I got to be up for it. At least I want to say somebody's voting for me.
Yeah, but I think all institutions need to have that. And again, I'll take this even academic, right? I think when we talk about Katherine Johnson, right? Mm-hmm. It took a movie for state to fully celebrate her in her glory, right? It shouldn't take that. I think that every institution, particularly when you're talking about those major institutions, where it's NFL team or whatever, they need to have a committee of people who are looking at the history and figure out who needs to go where. You know what I mean? So that way, and at the very least, it could be transparent and it could be a full process.
Well, what happens too is all of a sudden when you get new coaches in, you get new this position, in that position, you get new people
who forget the history,
who don't know the history. Yeah. They're looking only so far back.
Yeah, right. But it needs to be like a committee that's like, even if it's just a board.
I make the case that I think you go and you remove everybody, and you put one person in charge of it, and you get all players from who have made the ring.
Nah, because they're not looking at the history, and I think that's the problem with like the Heisman, and that's the problem with like even like the Baseball Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You have to get a committee who's dedicated to looking at the totality of that organization, and not only just because it's easy just to look at stats, because we can look at your stats, but what did you mean to the organization?
Well, and here's the other thing about stats, right? You use the stats to qualify that player as being
That's a fact.
As a great player, right? You use him for that. And we just got to notice that we've got to go. But I'm just making the case that, I just think that, the whole, that type of thing, rings of honor, I think all of that is done wrong.
Yeah.
And it's behind doors. Ladies and gentlemen, we're over our time, so we got to get out of here. All righty, we're gone.
See ya.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Visit frankwalkerlaw.com. Share your thoughts, ask questions, or suggest topics on our Facebook page. Just search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. And don't forget to like the page to join the conversation. Catch past episodes anytime at WCHSnetwork.com/Let's Talk. And tune in Thursday nights at 7 or Sunday evenings at 8 for Let's Talk with Carl Lee.
If you fall, dust it off and get back up on your feet. Anything could be a win, yup, even defeat. They say sugar bad for you, wise victory sweet. Couldn't play with big kids, I had to sit in the street and watch from a distance, but over time I grew. If I put in the work, in no time I'm due. Everything that I worked and prayed, I'm okay. If you ask me, how did I do it, I'm gon' say, you gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work. 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 You gotta work.